Patience is the rarest commodity on Wall Street. It's not listed on any exchange, you can't buy it on margin, and no amount of technical knowledge can substitute for it. Every man who's ever tried to outsmart the market eventually learns one brutal truth. The market rewards those who can wait and punishes those who can't. I've seen it time and again. A trader spots a move, feels the pulse of the tape, and his instincts whisper, "It's time." But instead of letting the move mature, he rushes in, anxious for action. His capital becomes tied up in premature trades, his emotions twist with every tick, and when the real move finally begins, he's already drained financially and mentally. Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about waiting for the right moment to do the only thing that matters. There were times I'd sit in my office for hours watching the ticker, pencil still, mind calm. The market would hum with false excitement. Prices would jump, retrace, spike again. The inexperienced traders would call that opportunity. I called it noise. The real money, the lasting profits, come from the quiet spaces between movements, those times when nothing seems to be happening, but everything beneath the surface is preparing for the next big shift. The truth is, impatience is born from insecurity. The trader who doesn't trust his own analysis feels compelled to act, to prove something, but the market doesn't care about proving. It only rewards precision. A patient trader is not a passive one. He's a predator in tall grass, motionless, breathing with the rhythm of the market, waiting for his setup to align perfectly before striking. I learned that lesson the hard way. In my early years, every time I was right about direction, I was wrong about timing. I'd enter too early, take on unnecessary drawdowns, and let emotions dictate my exits. The pain of watching a correct idea lose money is worse than being wrong entirely. It teaches you that being right too soon is just as costly as being wrong. Patience bridges that gap. It allows time to confirm your conviction, to let the market show its hand before you play yours. There's an old saying, the tape tells all. But the tape doesn't shout, it whispers. Only the patient trader can hear it. When I'd sit there reading the ticker tape, I wasn't looking for movement, I was listening for rhythm. Every surge, every pause, every price level had a tone, a meaning. If you can't wait long enough to understand it, you're not trading, you're gambling. And here's the irony. Most traders lose not because they lack strategy, but because they lack stillness. They crave activity. They feel the need to always be in the market. But that's not discipline, that's addiction disguised as ambition. The best trade you'll ever make is often the one you don't take. I've made millions by waiting and lost millions by rushing. The market taught me, in its own ruthless way, that opportunity is a matter of patience, meeting preparation. I remember a trade that tested my patience to the limit. It was during one of those long consolidations when the public grew restless. The newspapers were predicting wild swings, analysts were offering conflicting opinions, and the noise was unbearable. But I had done my homework. I knew what I was waiting for. I could see the accumulation pattern forming quietly while the world looked elsewhere. So I waited. Days turned into weeks. I ignored the chatter, stayed focused on the chart. And when the breakout finally came, it was explosive, so obvious in hindsight that everyone claimed they saw it coming. But they didn't. They were too busy chasing the shadows of yesterday's moves. Patience isn't glamorous. It doesn't give you the adrenaline rush of a quick win. It gives you something far more valuable: consistency. The patient trader can sleep at night because he knows he's not forcing trades out of boredom or fear. He's letting the market do the heavy lifting. He's aligning his actions with the natural rhythm of price, not the impulse of emotion. Let me tell you something few people will admit. The hardest part of trading isn't taking a loss, it's doing nothing. When you're flat, your mind plays tricks on you. You question your analysis. You watch others make moves and feel like you're missing out. But remember, markets aren't generous, they're cunning. They lure the impatient with small, quick profits, only to take it all back with interest. A patient trader doesn't chase. He attracts opportunity by staying still until the right moment presents itself. Patience requires faith, not blind faith in hope or luck, but faith in your own process. Every great trader has a system, whether written or instinctive, that defines when to act and when to wait. If your system tells you to stay out, That's a position too, a position of discipline. Most traders can't handle that. They equate waiting with weakness. But in the market, waiting is strength. When a man loses patience, he stops thinking. He reacts. And reaction is the death of precision. Think of it this way. A sniper doesn't shoot at movement. He shoots at the right target at the right time. The trigger pull is just a moment. The waiting is the craft. Trading is no different. There were times I'd wait for months for a single perfect setup. It wasn't wasted time, it was preparation. I'd analyze sectors, track leading stocks, note subtle shifts in volume, sentiment, and liquidity. The more I waited, the more the picture became clear. When the moment came, execution was effortless. That's the paradox of patience. It feels like you're doing nothing, but in truth you're sharpening your edge. Many traders lose patience because they don't have a plan. Without structure, waiting feels like drifting. You need defined criteria for entry, confirmation, and execution. That's your compass. Patience without a framework is procrastination. Patience guided by a plan is power. When you know what you're waiting for, time becomes your ally. And here's the deeper truth. The market doesn't test your strategy as much as it tests your character. It will tempt you to act before you should, shake your confidence when you should hold, and reward your worst habits just enough to keep you addicted. The only way to beat it is through patience anchored in principle. You can't rush mastery. You can't hurry the tape. Markets unfold at their own pace. All you can control is your response. That's where patience becomes the dividing line between winners and losers. The impatient trader keeps feeding the market his capital. The patient trader waits until the market feeds him opportunity. I used to say, it was never my thinking that made big money for me. It was my sitting. That wasn't arrogance, it was realization. The fortune wasn't in predicting price, but in waiting for the moment when price confirmed what I already believed. The longer you trade, the more you'll see that time, not analysis, is your greatest weapon. When you find yourself restless, wanting to act for the sake of action, step back. Look at your last 10 trades. How many of your losses came from impatience? How many winning trades did you exit too soon because you couldn't wait for the full move? The answers will humble you. They'll teach you that trading is not about constant motion but controlled restraint. Remember this, every market move is a story. Some stories take minutes, others take months to unfold. Your job isn't to rush the narrative, it's to understand where you are in it. If the story hasn't confirmed your role yet, don't act. The impatient trader interrupts the story mid-sentence and wonders why the ending makes no sense. Patience builds perspective. It allows you to detach from the crowd, to see what others can't because they're too busy reacting. In the end, trading isn't about who can move the fastest. It's about who can wait the longest without losing conviction. So, the next time you stare at your screen, anxious to make a move, remember, the market isn't your opponent, it's your teacher. And its greatest lesson is this: only those who master patience master profit. When your emotions scream, do something, and your logic whispers, wait, always side with the whisper. Because every tick of hesitation you conquer strengthens the discipline that separates speculation from skill. Patience is not passive, it's the art of controlled timing. The discipline to wait doesn't make you weak, it makes you dangerous to every trader who can't. The market respects that kind of strength. It may not reward you today or tomorrow, but when it does, it will pay you in ways that make every moment of waiting worth it. That's the secret to mastering trading patience. Knowing that your best edge isn't prediction, it's restraint. You don't force the market to move. You position yourself so that when it does, you're ready. And when you can wait with calm certainty, when you no longer chase trades but let them come to you, that's when you stop being a trader of price and become a master of time.